Hello, and welcome to 5 Live Lessons on Relationships and Sex with me, Rob Kandell. Every week, I do a live coaching call on Thursdays at 10 a.m. PST using Zoom technology, which allows me to interact with people online. I always start off with my weekly rant, which is the topic that is brewing for me for the week. As my free gift to you, I will give you 5 of my favorite life lessons from the calls. Hopefully, my version of Tuff Love will give you a little boost on making your relationships more dynamic and exciting. For more calls and to subscribe to my podcast, please visit me at tufflove.live. Happy holidays and happy loving. And that's today's rant is around this topic of how do you do what it takes to really take 100% responsibility for your life. Now, here's the most important caveat that we're going to start off with. If you take 100% responsibility for your life, it does not mean that people don't have to take responsibility for their actions. We live in a dualistic society, where everything is dualistic. It's either this or that. There's a lot more or in our reality than and. So either, if you get feedback, you're doing it wrong. No, if you get feedback, you're doing it right, and this is a way to do it better. And there's this place where in our mind, if someone tells us something they want to see improved, we immediately think that they're talking down to us, that they're taking something away from us. So there's this concept of taking 100% responsibility for your life, where everything you do, you're 100% responsible for. Now, this ex-employee, for some reason, she took her own personal pain and angst, and my perception is she projected it on me and my business partner. And that is uncool. And this, I think, is not a malicious intent on her part. I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think that she does it because she's mean. I think she does it because she doesn't know how to do anything else. That this is the way that she thinks. This is the way her mind is trained. Her mind is trained to take that hurt. Instead of feeling the hurt and really processing the hurt, she actually just needs to throw it somewhere. And I don't like that. I think it sucks. I think it sucks for the people that you throw your pain and your angst on, because they're the ones actually coming towards you to help you. They're the angels. And there's something about when someone's willing to love you that you feel like you have permission to dump your shit on them. And this is another very human emotion. So you can just take a look at the inventory of where in your mind you're blaming the other people in your life for your misfortunes. Where are you thinking that it's someone else and not you? They jilted me. They did something that caused me pain. No one causes you pain. You decide pain. They might provide a hell of a stimuli to have pain, but really on some level it's your choice. So, this is a very chargy and dangerous statement for me to make, which of course is why we have these calls, to have chargy and, fun statements like this. If someone slaps me, then I'm going to feel pain, and they're the cause of my pain, right? But if I'm in an S&M club and someone slaps me, I might get turned on. I might just say thank you. So on some level, it's my choice. It's my decision to decide how much and what I perceive the stimuli and how I choose to interpret it. This is always your choice. Now, it takes a lot of practice to have that moment where you have your conditioning and your autonomic response systems, and there's a stimuli occurs, and you have all your conditioning that says, oh, if someone slaps me, then they want to hurt me, and therefore they're wronging me, they're jilting me, they're doing something towards me. But if you're taking responsibility for your life, then you can see, how did I cause that person from slapping me? Did I actually provoke them? I'm not excusing physical violence in any shape or form. I'm a big proponent against violence, especially towards between the genders. I think it's awful. You know, people hit each other all the time. Men get hit, women get hit, children get hit, everyone gets hit. I don't like it. I'm not a proponent of it. And there's a lot of times where you've done absolutely nothing to provoke that. But there are times when you do. And there's times when your friends are just saying, wake up. And maybe they're not physically hitting you. Maybe they're emotionally hitting you because of something you did. Can you take 100% responsibility for your life? Can you see where you're provoking the charge and the displacement and the angst that exists between you? And what can you do to up the responsibility in your life and actually find the place where you can fully take responsibility? This is not an easy practice. But where are the small, minute places where you can actually go and up? And what would that do to your life? So this topic of gaslighting is something that's been on my mind the last couple of days. I've had a personal experience of it that drove me a little batty, and then it seems to be happens a lot. And so I posted on the Facebook group this concept of gaslighting. And the way I understand it, there's lots of definitions out there on the Facebook world or in the internet, you can look it up. But it's basically when I say something to someone that I believe and they use their powers of seduction or argument to deny my feeling. And what that is basically I'm sharing something I feel, and then the person responds back with a difference of opinion or a manipulative fashion to have it feel that I'm crazy. And I think this happens all the time, and it's driving me, it's upsetting me because I've seen it. I have a Facebook group, this new masculine community with a bunch of insane people like myself who have very different viewpoints. And I love the debate of viewpoints. I love when two people are arguing and debating and tussling, and I don't like it when one person gaslights the other. And gaslighting is just this feeling of where I don't feel sane with my viewpoints. I don't feel like I actually know myself anymore. And your feedback, the person gaslighting's feedback, is the one that has it feel like there's something wrong with me for having this opinion. And there's just something about that's going on constantly in today's society, especially with Facebook and electronic mediums, where you can't quite tell what the intention is of the person across from you. And what happens is that we're all kind of walking around slightly insane because we don't trust our own feelings. And I think in terms of empowerment, the thing you can only trust is your own internal sense of well-being and your own internal sensor systems. And when you have an entrusted person tell you that your feelings are wrong, then what happens is you stop trusting your feelings and you lose your greatest power. And all of a sudden we live in a society where people don't trust themselves and they lean on each other for their reality. I did this for a long time. I hired a group of women to be my reality. I asked them to be my sanity, and I would not do anything without their approval. And sometimes I would overtly ask, do you think I should wear these shoes with these pants? And they'd be like, no, that is a bad choice. Okay, that's not so bad. But there's times when I would, for a long time, I would be like, well, what do you think of this person? Or do you think this person's viewpoint is right? Or, should I go pursue this woman? And I would watch their reaction to see if it was the right thing to do. I would take my own internal sense of right and wrong and put that externally. And so what would happen is I didn't have my own inner sense of who I was. I was depending on external circumstances for me to know who I am. And I think this is really detrimental. And I think this is one of the biggest things in today's society that's really messing up communication, this dynamic, is that we're not enforcing each other's right for the belief systems. We're not saying to the person, I totally disagree with your point of view, but I'm actually interested in it. Or I actually think it's really cool that you have that point of view and I want to learn from it. And that's what's happening a lot in this group. And there's all this debate around feminism and new masculine, and all these things are happening, and no one's really connecting, and no one's really finding that common ground. In that, there's a lot of loss of information. You know, like there's this guy in this group whose viewpoints irk me. I mean, they're just so wrong. They're totally wrong. They are awful from my point of view. And all the people are Facebook messaging me and saying, like, what do we do about this guy? What do we do about this guy? What do we do about this guy? And all I can think is, I got to love him. I have to love him so much and increase my ability to hold his viewpoints so he'll actually have the opportunity to change. Because when we meet a punch with a punch, all of a sudden we're fighting. The title is, It's Not the Circumstance, It's You. And I say that with a slightly sardonic, I think that's the right word, view. It's not the circumstance. Yes, it's you. It's not like, no, it's not you, honey, I'm breaking up with you. It's me. No. It's not the circumstance, it's you. Because this is the thing. There are definitely cases where the circumstances trumps your free will, and I don't want to minimize those or denigrate those, because there are definitely things where that happens. Violence. I mean, Paris is a really great example, or rape, or there's definitely circumstances where the world takes over, and that's really not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking today about something different. I'm talking about the 98% of other things that happen in your life that happen, and then what we do is we get mad at the circumstances, aka we get mad at the world, aka we get mad at God, because we think that it's the circumstances dictating how we feel. Here's the newsflash of the week: no one can make you feel anyway, anyhow, anything. It's up to you. It's your reaction to the circumstance that has you decide how you feel. So again, we're not talking about if someone comes over and decides to rape you. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the other 98% of the world. You get a traffic ticket, you get mad at the cop. No, you broke the law. I did a U-turn in Santa Monica. I got a ticket. The cop was like, thank you for being so polite. Because most of the time, I think people are assholes to cops. But guess what? I fucked up. I broke the law. I got caught. I said thank you. I paid the ticket. I went to traffic school. It was expensive. It was annoying. But guess what? I am no longer making U-turns in the fine city of Santa Monica, because I learned it's not the circumstance. It's me. You don't have the relationship you want, and you think your boyfriend or girlfriend, your dog, your friend, your best friend, your boss is an asshole. No. It's you. It's you deciding to be in that relationship. It's you deciding to be in that job. It's you deciding to have that damn dog. And it's you raised that dog. You did it. It's not the circumstance. It's you. Now here's the benefit of this viewpoint. The benefit is that you can then decide to have fun and be excited and draw pleasure from anything. Now, I'm not saying this is an easy thing to do, but you do have the option. You walk out and see your car is booted. Option number one is you get mad at the world, you get mad at God, you get mad at the cops, you get mad at the city of San Francisco, Los Angeles, New Orleans, wherever. Or you'd be like, okay, it's time to take public transportation. I'm going to have an experience. You want a wild ride, you take the 38 Geary in San Francisco. That is the freak show. You have a different experience in the world. You take the Los Angeles Metro. You take the subways. It's up to you. That boot might be the best thing in the world. It's up to you. It's not the circumstance. It's how you interact with the circumstance. Your partner is frustrating you so badly. They're dumb, they're lazy, they're inconsiderate. Well, guess what? That's probably because you haven't said, hey, you're dumb and lazy and inconsiderate. Now I'm not recommending you say it like that. Please take all my words in moderation. But at the same time, there's ways to be like, listen, we have an agreement that you said you would do half the dishes and you don't. And when you do that, I feel it's inconsiderate and I don't feel valued. And do you want to renegotiate our dish agreement? I'm willing to do the dishes if you do the laundry. Wait, you like doing the laundry? Fuck, I hate doing laundry. Okay, you do the laundry, I'll do the dishes, and then I won't think you're a lazy son of a bitch anymore. That's what it's about. If you're in a job where you feel like you're being taken advantage of, well, then you say, this is not in my job contract. And you'd be willing to walk from that job. You'd be willing to say, like, I'm not going to have my boundaries bypassed. My agreement is to work 9 to 6 with an hour break. And if I do work overtime, you pay my ass time and a half. We don't want to pay my time and a half? Well, then I'm going to walk. Or I'm going to call the EDD. I'm going to do something. It's not the circumstance. It's you. It's your willingness to say, this is my life. It's precious. Every second of my life is precious. Every moment of your life is precious. So my rant today is something called the tyranny of I don't know. And that's something that's came up to me in a coaching session I had earlier this week. And my client kept saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, let's pretend I don't know is not allowed in this conversation. And then I had this image of us driving on the highway, and driving like 70 miles an hour, and she's in the passenger seat, and I'm scared to death. She's in the driver's seat, and I'm scared to death in the passenger seat. And every time she said, I don't know, it felt like she tapped on the brake. And it felt like this forward momentum went from a slight dip to almost a jerk. And so I posted this thing on my Facebook wall, and I said, something to the effect that saying I don't know to the mind is akin to tapping on the brake on the freeway. And I got some feedback from a few people that were just like, sometimes you don't know, Rob, and sometimes it's like you don't have access to it. And I really got their point. I do understand, and I do appreciate that viewpoint, that there are times where you don't have access to the thing you're inquiring about. There's times where you don't quite know what you want, or who you want, or what you want to wear, or what you want to eat. Like, I don't know. It's actually an appropriate, actually on some level, healthy answer to say, I don't know to yourself. But there's another layer to it, and that's the thing I was trying to address in my Facebook feed and to my client, is that I do believe somewhere inside your master, your higher self, the best part of you knows. And often we don't take the time to connect to that part of ourselves, to access the acumen, access the power, and we just sit in the I don't know, which often sounds, more often than not, is like some kid with their arms crossed, sticking their tongue out at the world. Fuck you. Like, there's like this feeling of just like, I'm not willing to do the work, and I'm just going to say I don't know. And I don't know often is, and I've experienced this a lot of times in classes, please stop putting your attention on me and get off my back. Stop asking me that damn question, because I don't want to confront it. Because I do think you know. I think some part of you always know. And maybe it's not the best choice or the optimal choice, but I think when you are stuck on a fence, it's so much more fun to jump on one side or the other than sit there on the fence with a fence post up your ass. I think it's actually really powerful to be willing to say, I don't know, but I'm going to move anyway. And that's what the tyranny of I don't know is, because it's become this legal excuse, this righteous legal excuse where you can say like, well, I don't know, and it just pisses me off. And there's times where I don't know what to do, but I am always in motion. I'm always saying, okay, I don't know yet. I don't really know what to do yet, but I'm going to figure this shit out. And I'm not going to rest on my laurels, and I'm not going to stop until I can figure that out. And sometimes, perhaps that's to my detriment. Sometimes maybe it's good to sit in the unknown. There's a lot of willingness to sit in the unknown of the experience. And that's that's, I think there's positivity in that, but I'm not a big fan of it, really. When it comes down to it, it's like, I just think that I don't know is akin to laziness, and it actually is a tyranny in our society because we're not willing to do the work. We're not willing to take the chance to really step out of our uncomfort zone and try to figure out what that thing is. So maybe take a moment in your life right now and think to yourself, what is the thing that I'm saying I don't know what to do next? What is the thing that I'm not willing to confront? Where is it in my life where I'm not going full force into the willingness to confront? And where do I use I don't know as a whine? Where do I use it as a place to keep myself smaller than I really am? Because I do think you know. I do think there's some part of you that's always willing. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to be talking about, my topic is called ghosting. Ghosting, which is a relatively new term, and I did a little research on it, and it's been around for a little while, but it's becoming more in awareness. And I had the pleasure of visiting my cousin in New York City last weekend with Morgan. And she basically said that she started to date for the first time after 29 years. My cousin Sahadi. So if there's any attractive available men in New York City, you want to meet my cousin, she's pretty awesome. And the thing about my cousin is she was with her husband for almost 30 years, and he died earlier this year. And he is an amazing man. And so she's coming back into the world of dating after 29 years. So imagine that. The last time she was dating, there was new wave music was the hip thing, and now she's dating in today's world. And she says that she's on JDate and she's on Tinder, not Tinder yet. She's on JDate and OkCupid and Bumble. I guess Bumble is another thing I don't know much about. Bumble is apparently the women get to make the first initiation, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so she's in there and she's having these great dates. And then date number 1 is awesome. And date number 2 is great. Maybe a little smooching, a little something. And all of a sudden they disappear. Poof. They're ghosted. They're gone. They're like totally evaporate into air. And she says this has happened like 4 or 5 times. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. As a lover of communication and intimacy and communication, I think communication is the most important thing. And so I was just like, morally outraged. I was morally outraged that these men were doing this to my beautiful cousin. And then I just realized like, oh shit, I kind of do this too on some level. Now, I don't do it in dating at the moment because I'm in a committed relationship and happily there. And I didn't really do it with my previous relationship. So it's not in the dating world that I ghost, but it's other places in my life that I do ghost. And there's other places I think a lot of other people ghost and they may not be aware of it. So I thought, okay, this is Tuff Love. We're going to talk about tough topics. That's the idea. So let's talk about it. Let's bring it out. And so the question is, where do you just disappear in your life, in your relationship? And where do people in your life feel ghosted? And I realized that I ghost almost every single day when I'm having a conversation with someone and then I turn my attention and they're left hanging. And the sad part is I think a lot of them, and a lot of me included, are just used to this change in conversation. In the past, when I was growing up, before some of you were born, we had this thing called phones. They were called landlines. And the way the landline worked is, I'll give this education to you. There was a phone, and then there was a cord to go from the phone to a receiver, and then you were stuck. You were basically stuck in one place for a long time. Okay, so imagine this. You couldn't be out in the world driving, eating, playing tennis while talking on the phone, working out. You actually were stuck in one location on the phone. And then they created these things called long curls. So you could actually go 4 or 5 feet and talk on the phone and stir your tomato sauce while you're cooking. And so you were basically stuck. And then they created portable phones, but you were still contained to the house. Anyway, my point is that you were on the phone until you were off the phone. And then you'd be like, I got to go, or my favorite, I'm going to let you go. And then the phone call would end, and like, I'll see you soon, and I'll meet you there, or be home soon. You would take the phone, you would hang up. And there was like a definitive end to the conversation. It was like you were talking one moment, then you had awareness that the phone call was over, or sometimes you got hung up on. But even when you were hung up on, you knew the conversation was over. You pissed off that person so much they hung up the phone, and it was very dramatic. Anyway, I digress. The point is that you knew when you were in the conversation, and then you knew that when you were done. Now, with the advent of the ubiquitous phone, you're having constant text messages, and you never really know if the conversation's going on or not going on. So I realized that ghosting is going on all the time because of the change of how we communicate and what's the effect that we do with each other, and how do we use this to avoid intimacy. So that's the point. So ghosting for my cousin, they had a great time, and maybe someone started having feelings, or maybe someone got a bigger and better deal and ghosted. And, but how does that affect our intimacy? Because my cousin's been dating for maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks at this point, and she's already used to being ghosted. She's already adapted in her mind that this is probably going to happen in a conversation with someone. She's going to have a great time, and then on some level, she's assuming this guy is just going to split. And maybe I'm even reading into the situation with her a little bit, and actually reading into it that she's already has one foot out the door for her, because she's assuming this guy's going to split anyway. And what does this do to our intimacy? And what does this do for this desire to go deeper with someone? How do we protect ourselves from the eventual ghost that's going to happen?